Vardhan, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, Lynn. How are you? Good morning.
Doing fine.
Fantastic. Thank you. We can see you and hear you fantastic, so that's excellent.
Wonderful. I do have one quick question.
Yes.
So when I mentioned that the event is being recorded,
Yes.
I asked everyone to click continue.
Correct.
After I say the event is being recorded, something comes up on the screen that people then click continue with.
You got it. A pop-up. You got it. Yes.
Okay. But then I can continue on with, do I have to wait before I then introduce Mari?
Not at all. Yes, you may please continue on. And in fact, Lynn, I understand that you'll be kicking off and starting to do that.
Yes.
And kicking off. So I want to also let you know that I will, right now we're almost about 50% done with our audio and video checks, but at 6:55 is the plan to go live, aka we will switch over so we'll broadcast to the audience. That's dependent on if we have everyone ready and Lynn and Clark's okay to continue. So I will be in the background, cameras off, on mute, but I want to empower you in. So if it's 6:55 and we're standing by on mute, or if it's 6:58 and we're standing by on mute, regardless, once the clock strikes 7 o'clock, are you located in DC?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So once the clock strikes 7, please, I will empower you to begin and open the event. I will not give any other cues because we're technically live. So I just want to empower you as soon as you see the clock strike 7, we're ready to start. Yes, please go for it.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm muting now.
All right, thank you very much.
Hello, this is are we testing interpretation?
Yes, I saw we have start. And so everybody here so far is aware that we do offer interpretation for this event. Down below on your Zoom webinar screen, you will see the interpretation icon that looks like a globe. So please, if your language of choice is going to be English, I recommend you right now to go ahead and select English. Anytime English is spoken, it will of course come through as English, but we will have intervention from our minister from Nepal, and when they speak, it will come through, he will be speaking in Nepalese or Nepali, and then we want to make sure that everyone can understand and listen, so make sure you're on the English channel, so when he has his intervention, it will be translated back into English. So please everybody make sure you select English and the interpretation icon down below. And Jeff, if you could please, with Surat, if you could please check the interpretation language channel.
Will do.
All right, thank you. And hello, I see we have Mr. Banu Dr. Dahal from Nepal. Hello, Nepal, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me, Nepal?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Great, we can hear you too. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you very much. Alright, so I think we're only missing Bangladesh at this time.
Hi, this is Surat, and I am the interpreter for today's event. I'm speaking on the English channel. If you are able to hear me, especially WBZ ABT, Jeff, if you can hear me, please let me know.
I can hear you clearly, Surat. Thank you for testing. Did you want to go to the Nepali channel as well? I can hear you very well, Saurabh. Thank you very much on the Nepali channel. Thank you for testing with me as well. Okay, we just tested on SI, Malai,
Thank
for
you.
all machines with Nepali channels. I heard him clear.
पंकज अपने भैया को फोन करके बोलूँगा
नहीं जैसे कि इवेंट तो लंबा है
अरे नहीं यार दोनों की चली जाएगी यार वैसे वैसे ही है
आएगी 550 के आसपास
कर
सर
यार
बोलेंगे 550 से 6 बजे तक 10 मिनट
नहीं उसने बोला था मेरे पास बहुत काम है तुझे पता
What was that, Afghanistan speaking?
एक बार मिला
Afghanistan, can you hear me?
नहीं हम
भाई वो 5 बजे से बोल रहे थे प्रेम बनाने बोले 5 बजे से लाइव कर दो
आगे पीछे करना
this
होगा
very important discussion. Regarding Afghanistan, we use the criteria set by WHO for prioritization of the
बहुत दिल्ली में ऐसा बड़ा तो नहीं है
Thank you so much for testing. Yes, we hear you and we see you. Fantastic. Thank you
ये
very
बंदा ना
much.
सगळे बंद रखिए पीएस करे
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. We'll just
क्योंकि
stand
थोड़ा
by
वो है।
making sure everyone else we have on audio and video check.
मैंने अपनी तरफ से ना दोनों ऑप्शन पे होंगे
हाँ बना लिया फ्रेम वो कर दिया
Milord, this is
हाँ,
Vardhan.
कर दिया हमने लाइव
Maldives
फ्रेम
is
बना
having some difficulty.
हेलो
I don't know if Benjamin, can you please see the chat for the IT and see and help Maldives, please?
हाँ मैंने लाइव कर दिया फ्रेम बना लिया आपने ठीक है
और मैं वैसे बताऊं देखो सर आएंगे रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं हुई पार्टिसिपेट तो करने का ना और सब पूरे 5:30 आ जाएंगे 6 बजे का नहीं पार्ट ऐसे थोड़ी होता है कि अपने वाले में आएंगे सर पहले 2-3 कंट्रीज का पहले भी तो है ये और शिफ्ट कर दूंगा दिस फॉर पार्टिसिपेट मेरे इधर आएगा
कितना बढ़िया आ रहा है देखना थोड़ा
I
और
see
जूम कर
that
क्या
Maldives is connected, but I'm hoping. If Maldives, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
कुछ ना आया नहीं
Hello, good morning, Mary. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Welcome.
Okay, sound is okay?
Yes, sound is excellent. The video is great. Thank you so much for connecting. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. I think the only one we're missing, Martha, is Bangladesh at this time, unless I'm.
Yes, it seems Bangladesh is trying to solve some issue.
Okay,
They're on this.
okay, fantastic. Everyone else has been, let's see, Dr. Ahmed Nassim, or excuse me, Honorary Minister Ahmed Nassim is the only one we cannot test at this time. Also, Dr. Harsh Vardhan from India. Is Dr. Harsh Vardhan, India office connected? If we could please connect in and test your video and audio, please. Our colleagues from India connected, if you could hear me, please turn on your camera.
Yes sir.
Please.
Audio video is clear. India. Camera on नहीं है.
Yes, let's try to, where's the minister sitting so we can make sure the camera is. Oh, I see.
Yes sir, audio video is clear.
The audio is clear, but we want to test the audio from where the minister will be seated. If we could just double check from the minister's seat, please.
Yes sir, please check. Audio is clear.
Beautiful, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Now, I do want to ask, we have a few more minutes before we're going to wait for the Maldives to office to hopefully connect. My name is Mila, I'll be the event host here. We're going to kick everything off right at 7 o'clock sharp. Lynn is going to introduce the event. I do want to let all of our ministers and our offices and our colleagues here know that we do have our WhatsApp group chats connected. So in the back side of the back channel, if you have any emergencies or alerts, vice versa, if we have anything to communicate to you, we'll be sending it WhatsApp. And also, if you have any emergencies, please use the WhatsApp to communicate your emergencies. In addition to that, I do want to also highlight that we do have interpretation offered for this event. We do have an intervention in Nepalese, when the Minister of Nepal speaks. So please, down below there is an interpretation icon. I recommend for all of us to now go ahead and click on that interpretation icon that has a globe icon and select language. And so that way, whenever we have different interventions in different languages, we will hear consistent interventions throughout the event. I do also want to highlight that we do ask all of our ministers and our country offices to please keep to your 4-minute response allotted time. We do ask for especially for all of our ministers, and I do want to highlight that there will be time alerting when we have 30 seconds remaining. So there will be a chime when we have 30 seconds and a second chime once your time has come to an end. So on the second chime, please make your closing concluding remarks. One other mention I do want to highlight here is that we will be conducting 2 polls throughout the meeting today. Each poll, we ask for you to please have a mobile device on standby next to you ready. The poll is going to be through a website, and the instructions are going to be on the screen. So please have your mobile or a tablet or a laptop nearby so that you may access your phone and go to the website on the screen when the time has come. There will be a website on the screen with a special code to enter, and then we're going to ask for all of our ministers and our dignitary officers to please respond to that poll, and we'll be discussing those polls within the meeting. One other last minute mention is to please keep all of your cameras on during the entire event. So please remain on camera. We kindly ask you to keep the cameras on. And then as well, please be mindful of the mute and unmute button. I'll be gracious and I'll be able to mute in case you forget to mute yourselves, but I will not be able to unmute yourself. So if we cannot hear you, just be prepared to please unmute yourself whenever the time comes for your response for your intervention. Alright, so we're going to get prepared here in just another minute. I do want to ask if we can see if our Minister Admin Nassim from Maldives, if you could hear us, please. Mark, I think we're still having connection issues with Maldives at this time.
कोविड में ये तो साउथ एशिया में वैक्सीनेशन के लिए ये
Alright, so Hart and Lynn. Oh, one moment. I think we have Malvas connecting. Hello, Malvas, can you hear me? Hello, Malvas, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Is Malvas able to hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for connecting. And so we're just about to get started, so thank you very much. The audio and the video is fantastic. Alright. And Malvas, we're going to go ahead and get started here, so if you don't mind, please mute yourself. I'm going to go ahead and start the webinar. I do want to let everybody know that this session will be recorded. And right at 7 o'clock sharp, Lynn is going to go ahead and open the event. So thank you everyone for connecting, and please keep your cameras on and have a wonderful event meeting. We'll put the welcome sign up now.
Good morning and good evening. Thank you all for joining us today to discuss the important challenges in getting people vaccinated against COVID-19. My name is Lynn Sherburne-Benz, and I am the Regional Director for Human Development in the South Asia region of the World Bank. I would like to welcome all of the Honorable Ministers of Health and senior government health officials from across the region to our event today. I would also like to welcome three distinguished leaders from the World Bank. First, we have with us Mary Pangestu, our Managing Director for Development Policy and Partnerships. We have Hart Schaefer, our Vice President for South Asia. And we have Mohammed Pate, our Global Director of Health, Nutrition, and Population. In addition to bringing the global perspective, Mohammed has also been a Minister of Health himself, so has very much to relate with all of you about. A few housekeeping issues. As we're in a virtual setting, I would like to ask everyone to make sure that you are muted if you're not speaking. For our speakers, if you run over your time, you will hear a chime, and given that time is tight, we would like you to respect and draw your comments to a close. And finally, the event is being recorded. If you have not already clicked continue in order to remain in the meeting, please do so now. At this point now, let me introduce our first speaker, Mary Pangestu. Mary has had a long career in government, the private sector, and academia. She served as a minister in the Indonesian government from 2004 to 2011 as Minister of Trade, and from 2011 to 2014 as Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy. Most recently, Mari has served on numerous academic facilities, including faculties, including Columbia University, the University of Indonesia, and at the Australian National University. She has also served on numerous nonprofit, business, and multilateral boards, including the Leadership Council of the United Nations Sustainable Development Council, Solutions Network, and the International Food Policy Research Institute, among others. Mari was also an expert panelist on the WHO's Equal Access Initiative, which considered alternative frameworks to assess countries' need for external financial support for health. I'm very much looking forward to today's discussions and continuing to work with all of you afterwards. Thank you, and Mari, over to you.
Thank you, and thank you, honorable ministers, for joining us today. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken a drastic human toll, as well as having economic and social impacts which are felt in our respective countries and all across the world. While the World Bank's response is targeted in 4 key areas: saving lives, protecting the poor and vulnerable, helping to save jobs and businesses, and building a more resilient recovery. We know that the best hope for restoring economic growth and preserving the hard-won development gains of the past decade is to deploy a vaccine. The World Bank Group has committed up to $12 billion in additional financing to support the purchase and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines as part of our COVID-19 response. In each country, we are working with you to tailor our support to your specific needs and contexts, and to apply the lessons we are learning from around the globe and from our partners. The World Bank has task teams standing ready to provide technical assistance with implementation, leveraging on our rich experience with strengthening health systems and expanding immunization capacity. Rolling out vaccines effectively will be one of the greatest public challenges of our time. As we know, population-wide vaccination has not happened since probably the smallpox. So we must learn from implementation experience within our own borders, from our neighbors, and across the globe. We must also use this opportunity to build better and stronger health systems. Investments made to support COVID-19 vaccination will address human resources, cold chain, public health communication, and monitoring systems. These can all support healthcare delivery and accelerate development of human capital beyond the pandemic. And I also want to take this opportunity to remind us, as well as all of you, honorable health ministers, that we also must not, as we focus on the pandemic, we must also not forget the other health issues that we all face in our respective countries, whether it's children immunization or maternal health services, and so on. I'm delighted to be here to launch this series of discussions and hope that we can come together to collaborate, listen, and learn. I really am looking forward to this conversation. Over to you, Hart.
Thank you very much, Mari, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all the honorable ministers, our panelists, distinguished guests, and of course, friends and colleagues. Mari, you have framed the discussion very well, and now we are moving forward with by hearing from the ministers. This event offers a platform for ministers of health from the South Asia region to candidly discuss with each other and with World Bank colleagues on their plans and challenges on the COVID vaccination. Let me kick it off by first hearing from Dr. Mohammed Pate, the World Bank's Global Director for Health, Nutrition and Population for the global practice in the bank. And Mohammed is a distinguished scholar. He has had a career in public health. He has been the Minister of Health in Nigeria. He's also on the board of the Vaccine Alliance, and he is a professor at Harvard School of Public Health. So let me ask you a question, Mohammed. Why should governments in South Asia invest a lot of money in financing COVID-19 vaccines and the systems and the infrastructure, the logistics that are needed to roll out the vaccines? Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Hat, for inviting me to engage with the honorable ministers in this important event. I think there are 5 reasons at least for why ministers and governments all over the region should invest in vaccines at this point in time. The first is the human toll that Mari alluded to. Already more than 10 million people have been infected by the virus, and more than 150,000 deaths have occurred in the South Asia region. Behind each of those numbers is a person, is a family, is a story. And that by itself is an important argument. The second is that we know that while the virus has spread across the South Asia region, there are still many more people who are yet to be infected if you look at the zero prevalence surveys that have been done. Which means that in the period ahead, there may be expansion, continuation, or recurrent waves of this virus infecting other people. Thirdly, there's also a secondary crisis that the pandemic has unleashed, which is disruption in immunization services, other non-communicable diseases that will result in excess deaths beyond what the virus itself gives. And then on the economic impact itself, we know that the region had moved from one of the fastest growing regions in the world to one where we've seen a contraction in GDP across the region of more than 5%. And that has resulted in a combined loss in terms of GDP more than 3.5 trillion US dollars, with huge declines in remittances, rising unemployment and poverty that has gone up, expected to lead to more than 50 million additional extreme poor people in the region. If you add all of that, vaccines provide a viable path to reopening economies, both on the supply side and the demand side. And if the cost of vaccinating people in the region, up to the 70% that may be necessary to interrupt transmission, is not more than 8.6 or 9 billion US dollars, you can see that the average returns that would make it much more worthwhile from an economic standpoint is really easy to get. If you can get more than 0.25% GDP growth by virtue of the investment in vaccination to unlock the economies, then it will be very much worthwhile. And the final point is that investing in vaccines and the system to deliver the vaccines will have further effect downstream. COVID is not the last pandemic or infectious disease threat that we will face as a global community and also in the region. So all of these reasons make it important that governments, ministers of health and ministers of finance consider vaccination as one viable path to invest in and that will yield the returns, help the region as a whole come out of this pandemic. Thank you. Over to you, Pat.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for laying it down so clearly what the challenges are, but also what the absolute needs are. And as you know, the World Bank in South Asia is already working with a number of countries in the region to help mobilize World Bank support and resources financing for the COVID-19 vaccination. Let me now turn to our first set of questions, and I will ask the honorable ministers from Afghanistan and Bangladesh to answer one of the questions that is, I think, on everybody's mind, and that is who should actually receive the vaccine first? How do we prioritize it? Because we all know that there's a limited supply of vaccine that will be available in the coming month, and we need to prioritize and determine who gets the vaccine first. So let me ask this question to the Honorable Minister Osmani from Afghanistan and the Honorable Minister of Bangladesh. How will you prioritize across different groups? Will people with health vulnerabilities get the vaccine first? Will people with economic vulnerabilities get it first? Is it an age differentiation? And how will you ensure equity? Making sure that those with more resources or privileges do not crowd out those who can't afford it. So what is the vaccination strategy? Let me hand it over to first to Minister Osmani from Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. Greetings from Afghanistan. I am very pleased to be part of today's important discussion. Yes, the equity and also equal distribution among the different population based on their need is the priority for the government and the Minister of the Public Health of Afghanistan. Though there is a set of the criteria for prioritization of the vaccine by WHO based on the local context of Afghanistan. We also identify the high priority risk groups in the country, for example, nomadic population and internal displacement people, IDPs, which are at high risk of transmission, and also they can easily transmit to larger population. Based on that, we set the criteria and identified the high-risk population to receive vaccine first. The aim of the Ministry of the Public Health and the Government of Afghanistan is to use efficiently and effectively the limited resources provided by the international partners and also through different sources. We identify the comorbidity as comorbidity has been prioritized irrespective of the economic conditions and talk of the mitigating measures to make sure those with more resource and privilege don't force their way to front of the line. Different mechanisms have been discussed which will be put in place. First of all, more authority will be given to the sub-national levels to discuss and identify the high priority groups to receive vaccines first. Second, all the community leaders and even the security forces will be provided assistance to the health forces, so safe transfer of the vaccine to the facilities and also safety of the health personnel to be provided. And also advanced sensitization of people on specific eligible groups through public communication channels. From now, we have already started that the health workers, the urban forces, the nomadic population, and also the internal displaced people with the high morbidity, with comorbidity conditions, and also the age group will receive vaccines first. So this kind of communication has been in place from now. And also gradual response progress to monitor such risk to avoid problems in scale before it goes out of the control. And the fifth intervention would be a strong monitoring mechanism for immediate action on the spot if there is any issue that should be taken into account and appropriate action should be taken. And also deployment of the local people for monitoring of and reporting, who will have full access to areas under the control of anti-government forces. We have the same experience with the polio eradication program and other immunization activities in those places, and would be also utilized. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, and particularly I like that you are highlighting that you're working with community leaders, but also the communication effort. I think this is very important. Let me now move to Bangladesh. I understand the Honourable Minister has been called for an urgent meeting, so we have the Joint Secretary for the Ministry of Health here. Mr. Secretary, would you kindly respond on behalf of the government of Bangladesh? And again, the question here is, how do you prioritize who will get the vaccine first? Mr. Secretary? Can you hear us?
Am I audible? Our Honourable Minister...
We can see you. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Our Honourable Minister is now engaged in another important program, pre-scheduled program, and I'm responding on behalf of our Minister. I'm Additional Secretary to the Public Health Ministry, Ministry of Health, and our priority list already been developed through a vaccine deployment plan with the help of all development partners, UNICEF, WHO, World Bank, and other development partners. The most number one priority is the health workers, those who are fighting against COVID directly, and our frontline workers like police, media people, and senior citizen is another priority for us in our country, and all people, representatives who go outside, or government officials, people who are suffering from different complex diseases with mobility. And this is the way we have prioritized to vaccinate our people, and this is the plan, and detailed plan is already been set. Thank you for the opportunity to answer on behalf of Honorable Minister, Mr. Jahid Malik. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Secretary, for laying it out. So what we are hearing here is that it's the high-risk people, it's the one with comorbidity, but also frontline workers are getting first access to the vaccine. Now, once the groups are identified, it is still a huge effort to actually track them down and cover that cohort of priority recipients. And I want to ask this question to the representative of Bhutan and the Honourable Minister from India. The vaccination program requires an enormous logistical effort. We are estimating that compared to the normal vaccination programs that the countries already have, it's a 6 to 7-fold increase in terms of the needs, and that means we need to identify and we need to track specific individuals. So let me ask this question to the Honourable Secretary Gupku from Bhutan and the Honourable Minister Vardhan from India, two countries that are completely different in size. How are you going to identify and follow the specific people who need to get the vaccine first and make sure that these priority groups are reached, and particularly to make sure that those who are the most disadvantaged will actually be reached? How do you go to the last mile? Let me start with the Honourable Secretary Gupku from Bhutan. The floor is yours, Excellency.
We welcome the very important agenda which deserves the much required attention of global community. Bhutan is pleased to note and appreciate this platform and thank the World Bank for this opportunity. Bhutan continues to express our commitment and solidarity at this testing moment to fight this pandemic as our shared responsibility. Now on the question, Bhutan being a small country with less than 1 million population, about 750,000 population, Bhutan has already line listed all these priority groups without leaving anyone behind. So we have 20 districts, and each districts are tasked to identify, line list all these priority groups by their national CID number, and we have already initiated influenza vaccination for them. So just now the vaccination activity is in progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Secretary, for laying it out so clearly for a small country, but still with the necessary logistical effort to reach everybody, even in the remotest areas. Let's hear from Minister Vardhan. In a country of 1.3 to 1.4 billion people, how do you deal with this issue? Honourable Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Mr. Vardhan.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely, and we can see you.
Okay, thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored to be part of this prestigious roundtable discussion on vaccinating South Asia against COVID-19. As we all know, for most part of this year, the world has been engaged in a prolonged battle against the unprecedented challenge of COVID-19 pandemic. While lives have been lost, causing disappointments galore, we must also admire the resilience, hope and selflessness as shown by people during these testing times. It is also heartening to note that nations have built strong partnerships and are taking collective responsibility to mitigate the risks of this pandemic. The Government of India from day one has followed a proactive, preemptive, graded, whole of government and society approach to tackle the pandemic. Despite constraints, effective planning and strategic management has enabled India to keep its cases per million at 7,078 against the global average of 8,883. Similarly, we have worked round the clock to ensure that our fatality rate has remained amongst the lowest in the world at 1.45% as against the global average of 2.27%. Excellencies, India has always been proud of being one of the front runners in the pharmaceutical and vaccine industry. Quoting the humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders, India is the pharmacy to the developing world, and we take this opportunity with utmost seriousness and integrity. India's world-class research institutes have spearheaded the campaign against COVID-19 and are currently working towards facilitating capacity building for producing, distributing and administering the vaccine. As I speak here, 260 vaccine candidates are in different stages of development globally. Out of these, 8 are scheduled to be manufactured in India, including 3 indigenous ones. We have enthusiastically leveraged the support of international partners like Oxford University, United Kingdom and the Thomas Jefferson University, USA for vaccine research with Indian entities both public and private. Our Honorable Prime Minister has been supervising the vaccine production efforts personally. He recently visited manufacturing facilities of pharmaceutical companies engaged in production of vaccines, encouraging the scientists at helm and catalyzing the processes. It is expected that the vaccine will be available in the coming few weeks and the vaccination process will kick-start in India as soon as it is approved by the concerned regulatory agency. With stringent oversight, we are ensuring that there is no compromise on scientific and regulatory norms stretching from safety of the trials to efficacy of the vaccines. While we are focused on developing a vaccine, we are simultaneously working towards leveraging our efficient and vast vaccine distribution network. We have analyzed our present requirement and are working towards augmenting our capacities, healthcare infrastructure and workforce. Leveraging the existing digital interventions in our immunization programs, India is working at breathtaking speed for building an advanced digital platform called CoWIN, which inter alia will allow citizens to self-register for vaccination, monitor their status and be provided with a QR code-based electronic vaccination certificate. Before concluding my speech, I would like to take a moment to honor the courage and sacrifice of numerous corona warriors across the globe who have been at the forefront in our fight against COVID-19. I hope, as a fitting tribute to many of them who lost their lives while serving society, we will work with greater zeal and enthusiasm towards building more resilient healthcare systems and achieving the common goal of health for all. I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to address this esteemed gathering.
Thank you very much, Minister Vardhan, and I think you highlighted the importance of digital technology, digital innovation when it comes to tracking and identifying the people who need to get the vaccine, but also to track who has gotten the vaccine and who has not yet. So this is absolutely important element, and I hope that in the open discussion that we have after we are through with all the panelists, that some of the colleagues will share that with each other. I would now like us to move to before we go to the next speakers, to do a quick poll. And what I'm asking you, honourable ministers and panelists, is to go to the website on your device. The website is menti.com. Let me spell it out for you. Menti is MENTI.com, and on the screen you actually see the instructions. When you're on that website, please type in the code 8276070, and then I would like you to just complete the sentence that you see at the bottom of the screen. The key things on COVID vaccination readiness that keep me, this is you, that keep you awake at night are. So what is it that when you think about COVID vaccination in your country that keeps you awake at night? Just complete the sentence with one or two words, the reasons that keep you awake. Let's see, please use your iPhone, your Android, whatever device, the iPad, and then on the screen you will see a word cloud from everybody, and we'll see what is it that stands out as the reason that is keeping you awake at night when it comes to COVID vaccination readiness. Okay, safety, absolutely. I see safety coming up. Acceptance, the communication effort that the first speakers were mentioning. Availability definitely is something that we're all worried about. Will there be enough? I think everybody wants access to the vaccine very quickly, particularly for the countries in the region in South Asia. Will it be available? And I think the Minister from India actually shared with us that India itself is a producer of a lot of the vaccine. We see the cold chain, and I'm coming to that in a moment, distribution, and again, safety seems to be the number one, and that's the key issue. Will the vaccine be safe? Cold chain availability, we see acceptance, public demand is there, and the cost is also an issue, storage, distribution. So these are the things that are on everybody's mind across the globe, and we'll actually zoom in on a couple of those questions as we continue with our discussion. So at this point, let me thank you all for sharing with us what is on your mind when it comes to vaccination in your country. And I would actually like to pick up on some of the things that are coming in there: cold chain, distribution, storage, and so on. That is, the logistical challenges of delivery and distribution are going to be enormous when you think of the population. Even if it's only 20 or 30% of the population that you want to reach, the logistical challenges are going to be enormous. And I have two other panelists from the Honorable Minister from Nepal, and for Pakistan we have Dr. Hassan Rafiz, who is the Vice Chancellor and of the Health Services Academy, is also the chair of the Experts Committee on vaccine. And I'll start with Minister Dakal of Nepal, and we want to switch quickly to use interpretation. And if you look at this, switch to the English interpretation. And the question that I have for our minister and for the deal with the cold chain requirements. Different vaccines require different cold chain storage, and the capacity needs to be seamless. How do you deal with that? And are you taking a whole government approach operating in your peers in our ministries in this? So it is not just an issue for the Ministry of Health, it is an issue that has to do with the Ministry of Transport or Roads. Other ministries have a role to play. So first, over to the Honourable Minister from Nepal.
सार्क राष्ट्रका माननीय मन्त्रीज्यूहरू,
honorable ministers of the South Asian countries, director of the World Bank, and all the distinguished guests. Greetings on behalf of Nepal and warm greetings. To make the COVID-19 vaccine available to the Nepali citizens as soon as possible, our government is really committed, and the preparatory work has already been started. Regarding the cold chain, we have done preliminary studies and we found that it has to be kept within 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, and we have all these more than 5,000 health institutions in different communities and more than 11,000 outreach clinics. So we are planning to, it seems possible that we'll be able to reach out to 72% of the population within the 6 months. But however, we don't have the necessary infrastructure for vaccine that requires to be stored at minus 20 degrees Celsius. We are in the process for creating the necessary infrastructure. However, for vaccines that require to be stored at minus 70 degrees, we don't have any preparations as of yet. So we are in the process of preparing the infrastructures for reaching out to 3% of the population, the people who are working in the front line. So in the past also, we have already completed immunization programs for different diseases in the past, and we'll be using those experience, and we have also started mobilizing all 3 levels of the government that are prevalent in Nepal. And for this process, we have already formed a committee comprising of representatives from different related ministries such as Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of General Administration, Ministry of Women and Children, Ministry of Finance, and representatives from other organizations and institutions as well. So we'll be coordinating with all of them. We'll also be mobilizing the private sector, especially with regards to cold chain and also for availability and storage. For cold chain, we will evaluate our currently available resources, and if needed, we will bring in the private sector as well. And for that, we are holding consultations with the private sector. And if we need to increase the storage capacity for the vaccination that needs to be stored in minus 20 degrees Celsius, we will consult the private sector and we will create ways for them to get involved. And the World Bank has really helped us in the health sector and in the COVID-19 response. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks, and I'd like to reiterate that Nepal government is committed to creating and ensuring access to vaccination for all the population. However, our resources are depleting very fast, so I'd like to request the partner agencies to provide us in ensuring the resources so that we can make the vaccination available. And I would like to request for the coordination and leadership required to make sure that the vaccine is available for all the required population, and I expect future cooperation also. With that, I'd like to end my words. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor from Pakistan. Same 2 questions, the challenges of logistics. The floor is yours, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's an honor to be part of this forum, and let me start by conveying the regrets of Federal Minister of Health of Pakistan, Dr. Faisal Sultan, who had to be in another meeting with the Prime Minister at this point in time. and he has desired to convey his thoughts on this forum. Pakistan is undergoing second wave of COVID. We very appropriately dealt with the first wave earlier in June and July, containing the spread and the mortalities from that wave. So second wave is also subsiding, on its way to subsiding now. But we do know there is going to be a third wave and a fourth wave unless appropriate deployment of vaccines is made. It has multiple challenges, and cold chain and logistics is one of the major challenges for a large country like ours with a population of 220 million and a diversity of geographical spread and density of population. Our traditional cold chain system is for the normal vaccines doesn't cater for minus 80 degrees and minus 20 degrees at large. So a unique challenge which we face in our country is expansion of cold chain to all the far off and remote areas where we want to distribute the vaccine. And to further add to this complexity, there are multiple moving parts in the framework which we are still uncertain that which type of vaccine and which temperature requirement would be required at the end of the day. So this uncertainty is adding to the challenge. However, Pakistan has prepared a very well planned cold chain expansion plan, and a lot of help has also been required from our partners, as well as the whole of government approach has been used by using some of the cold storage facilities being utilized in other ministries like Ministry of Science and Technology and similar storages which are present. So they have been adopted and built in the larger plan of cold chain services. Similarly, another issue, a challenge is the training of human resource to manage this kind of cold chain expansion, and particularly if we're looking at the minus degrees, minus 20 or minus 80 degrees. It is prudent that and not only for Pakistan but all the South Asian countries, that the cold chain plans as well as the vaccine deployment plans have a good external evaluation by partners like World Bank. So that would build confidence in our decision makers and in our policy makers in health that we are ready, we are vaccine ready and able to expand out to all the population which we intend to do. I would also urge IFIs and particularly World Bank to provide financial windows for supporting cold chain facilities and expanding cold chain facilities as well as other areas required for vaccine deployment. So these are some of the things which we have carried out as till date, and Pakistan government is very keen to ensure that the best quality vaccine and the best possible options are available for our population. I'll stop there and thank you once again.
Thank you very much to both of you, Your Excellencies, for laying out so clearly the challenges that you see with the logistics and the cold chain. And what you're saying, Dr. Hafiz, is absolutely correct. And the World Bank is actually helping with the readiness assessment. Across all the 8 countries, our teams are engaged to look at the readiness for rolling out the vaccination and the vaccination strategy. And it involves, of course, support to logistics. You mentioned the human resources effort that is needed. I'll come to that in a moment in the next set of questions. But also, let me share with everybody that our Board of Executive Directors has actually made available or has approved $12 billion that can be applied to the vaccination. That is the second phase on top of the first phase of the program that we launched in early April to help with the immediate needs for healthcare surge capacity, provide procurement for for equipment and so on. So we are going along as we are dealing with this pandemic, and the readiness assessment is very critical in order to make sure that once the vaccine arrives, it is safe and it actually reaches the intended population. And I think this is something that you just raised, and I want to ask this question to our panelists from the Maldives and from Sri Lanka. Once we have the vaccine and the cold chain and everything is in place, it takes an enormous effort with regard to human resources to get those people trained who will have to administer actually the vaccination. And as I said in my introduction, in some countries we expect that the effort is 6 to 7-fold higher than what the normal vaccination programs require. So let me ask this question to the Honourable Minister from the Maldives, Minister Ahmed Nassim, and to the ministers from Sri Lanka. We will have a video message from Sri Lanka, but also then we have the Secretary of Health from Sri Lanka who will come in with a contribution. So how do you staff up the personnel to administer COVID-19? What will be the points of service delivery? Where will actually the vaccine be administered? Because that is very important in the context of the cold chain. And then one of the questions I think that has come up in many countries is that by focusing on COVID-19 vaccination, is there a risk that other routine vaccinations against measles and other diseases will actually be crowded out, and how do you manage that risk? Let me start with the Minister from the Maldives, Minister Nassim.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues at the round table, the organizers and everyone joining this meeting from the region and from afar. Firstly, let me thank the World Bank and the colleagues from the bank here for taking the initiative for organizing this very important and timely meeting for this region. On this critically important topic, I must say, needless to say, like the rest of the world, we in this region have been eagerly waiting for a vaccine against this dreadful disease, and our priority has been to get ready for this occasion. With the hope that the world can finally look forward, and also we are putting this and put this pandemic behind us. You have suggested that I relate something on our readiness. We have trained staff here now. We have been we have acted at the forefront in this from February onwards. We have been working to control the spread of COVID-19 in the Maldives. As you know, maybe many in the region will know that Male is the capital of Maldives, and we have a very densely populated 2.5 square kilometers in Male, and also the Male region. We have more than half the population of Maldives probably lives in this area, and we have a large expatriate population living in this area. And so we have double problems in this, but we have been able to control the situation so far, and it is mostly restricted presently to Male area because of the high density of population and due to the number of expatriate workers here in Maldives, and also unregistered expatriate workers in Maldives. So we are finding it a bit difficult to have access to these people, and this creates a little bit of difficulty in controlling the spread in Male area. So we have been having continuously, at the moment we are low on this, and we have about between 25 and 30 or 15 to 30, 40 per day. And the deaths we have had about 47 deaths in Maldives so far. But the effectiveness of what we have done so far is very good, because we have almost no cases in the outer islands or in the atolls in Maldives. Very few cases. Some tourists that are bringing this we have had some cases in some of the resorts, but apart from that, there is no major outbreak in the atolls. what we have done so far is to find, try to buy or have access to some kind of access to vaccine in Maldives, and we are finding this a bit difficult because the vaccines are not, most of the vaccines are not available in the market at the moment, and although we find that UK and other countries have already started vaccinating, we are unable to buy this vaccine. You know that we are dependent very much on the tourism industry, and our whole livelihood depends on the fisheries industry. So we have had very hardship in maintaining our economy at a reasonable level. But we are ready. We have got our cold storages ready. We have got our distribution mechanisms all arranged in Maldives, and we know that through the times that we have gone through with the tsunami, and we have got professionally qualified people in order to make the logistics possible in Maldives. So we will be doing that, and I'm glad to inform you that we are working very hard to acquire vaccine, either to buy or because our survival of our industry depends on Maldives being very being clear of this pandemic, this COVID-19. So I believe that our industry, together with our industry, the government of Maldives will be able to, if made available, will be able to purchase to a great extent this. But we seem to be finding it difficult, and that's why we need the help from all friendly countries as well as from the international organizations. I think this is something that we should all aspire to do, because we are ready to purchase, and we are ready to roll out the logistics, and Maldives is spread over 840 kilometers north to south. But we have done this type of logistical work before, and we have experienced people, and we are ready to work with this. And we have got our cold storages ready in order, and it will be here within about 15 to 20 days. So we are okay like that. Thank you very much. I hope I have responded to your questions, sir.
Yes, Mr. Vardhan. So let's look at a video from the Home Minister from Sri Lanka, and then I'll turn to the Secretary of Health from Sri Lanka. Can we roll the video? Thanks.
Sri Lanka, having a unique system of health care, which is free to the care seeker, is committed to manage the current pandemic efficiently. While continuing our efforts to mitigate, we are open to utilize all possible opportunities to prevent the spread of COVID-19. I make this opportunity to thank World Bank and other development partners for extending their support at this hour of need, when Sri Lanka is strengthening its capacity to efficiently deliver vaccine when it is available for safe implementation. We have established a National Coordinating Committee on COVID-19 vaccine, and 3 main technical committees are working to identify our gaps in technical and financial means, enabling us to prepare a solid plan of action towards vaccination readiness. We hope to implement the vaccine program within the existing infrastructure and human resources who are already being trained and gained experience in vaccine programs. Though we have been engaged in mostly the child immunization, we are confident that we apply the same precautions and mindful about upcoming adult immunization for COVID-19. While appreciating the organizers of this high-level meeting, which is a good exposure to countries, we look forward to successful conclusion of clinical trials and approval of efficient and safe COVID-19 vaccine.
Thank you very much for this recorded message. Let me go to the Secretary of Health for Sri Lanka, Dr. Munasinghe.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, further to Honorable Minister's comments, I would like to add the other question. What would be the role of private hospitals, private clinics and pharmacies? We have not yet decided how to ignore private hospitals and clinics in the vaccination program. Since it is a new vaccine, we believe that a gradual scale-up is necessary. The Ministry is very concerned about the safety and adverse effects following the vaccine. And emergency management is a key component of our national immunization program. We will strictly adhere to these safety measures for COVID vaccine as well. Once the vaccination program and implementation system is established, and we are ready to scale up the vaccine, we will consider involvement of the private sector, hospitals and clinics. Other question, if we are using the existing health staff, how are we going to ensure the smooth functioning of both the activities of the essential non-COVID health services, including routine childhood immunization? This is a key area of concern for us, and the Ministry officials are currently planning how to initiate COVID vaccination program without having an inadvertent effect on the routine immunization program. Many strategies are being considered. For example, since most of our routine immunization are done at community clinics, we are considering covering the major portion of COVID vaccination program at hospital settings to avoid added burden to the community clinic. So we are exploring different options to see how best to deliver this program in the most effective way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary. So this is the end of the first round. Now we have some opportunity to ask each other questions. If anything that you heard from one of your colleagues from another country that is of interest to you, you may want to ask that question. If you want to get more clarifications. So let me open the floor and please either raise your hand or simply that you want to come in by unmuting your phone if you have specific questions. This is meant to be a conversation amongst colleagues in the region. Anybody who would like to come in? We also have Mohammed Pate, who may want to reflect on some of the things that he has heard. To kick it off, so Mohammed, would you like to reflect a little bit on what you heard from our 8 country representatives?
No, thank you. I think the honorable ministers, all the senior officials who spoke really laid out a very rich perspective from their own particular countries in terms of approaching this issue. This is an unprecedented challenge which no country has actually dealt with it before. And so each of the countries is really approaching it within their own context, trying to adapt the challenge and the possibility of using vaccine as a path out of this. I heard a lot of commonalities in terms of the issues that the countries are dealing with. So the policies of who gets the vaccines and how to determine that. That is dependent also on the epidemiology of the virus within particular context and the nature of the society's concerns about safety and efficacy of the vaccines has been an important element. The tremendous work that is going on in assessing readiness of countries across the chain, but also the approach to vaccination in terms of, as we had in Sri Lanka, the delivery mechanism, including in some areas, let's say the role of the private sector in the delivery itself, the logistics of it, and the mix of options that countries are putting together in terms of their coordinated national plans. And then the cultural infrastructure came out clearly. I think We had from Pakistan, for instance, the whole of government approach, including all the capabilities that may be available through the Ministry of Science and Technology, for instance, or other sectors in the economy. And I believe that some of the areas we also had include leaving no one behind, ensuring equity in sort of distribution, and we had from Maldives the issue of the density of population, and taking that into account in terms of approaching the control of the pandemic, but also I believe will be relevant when it comes to prioritizing population and delivery of the vaccines. I think the polling that you guided us through had highlighted the safety issue, which is linked to the regulatory framework, and I think we've not had as much in that area, and also the role of communication and mobilization of communities even before the vaccines get ready. That is also an important angle that I believe is necessary to keep an eye on. So all in all, I think this has been very rich, and in my reflection with the work that we are doing at the bank, it appears the bank's program of support complements and provides avenues to fill some of those gaps that countries are sort of struggling with, and there's real opportunity to learn across countries as well, because no one has actually done this before. So I will stop here, but this has been very helpful to us.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Let me see if any one of the distinguished panelists would like to come in. There any questions from anything with regard to what the bank is saying? Yes, please. Dr. Manazinga, did you want to come in, or?
No, thanks.
Okay, all right. Look, there may be questions coming up, our ministers and distinguished panelists. There may be questions that are coming up, and after the event. So please feel free to contact us. And I know that you're working very closely with the World Bank teams in this effort. We're in this together, and from our side, we'll definitely make everything available that you would need, and will support at full force. So this is something where our teams are highly committed, and I know that they have excellent working relationships with your team. So if there are questions, if there are areas for clarifications, please reach out to the respective country offices and teams there. I would like to thank you all for a very rich discussion, for sharing with us how you approach this unprecedented effort that it will take to get the vaccination effort rolled out and to reach the share of the population that is unprecedented when it comes to any vaccinations that we have seen before. I would like to now hand over to the Managing Director, to Mari Mengistu, for her reflection on this, and I think we're doing one more poll, and then Mari will be closing the event. So Mari, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hart, and thank you all of you, honorable ministers and representatives, for sharing your thoughts and your experiences, as well as the issues that you are facing on the ground. I think Mohammed summarized it very well, that I think every country is facing the readiness question in various aspects, starting from the who and the what, and then the how. And it was interesting for me to hear that all of you are thinking about a whole of government, whole of society approach, and the whole of community, which I think is hugely important, especially when we think about the communications aspect. And I think the role of the private sector is seemingly very key, and this is something obviously we need to think very carefully, given the safety efficacy. I think one of you said that, well, we want to involve the private sector, but we have to make sure it's safe. And there's a lot of uncertainty, because we don't quite know yet what is the vaccine that will be delivered. So these are, I think, key questions that I hope with our vaccine readiness program we can certainly work with you to help design the systems that we must have in place once the vaccines are available. We have to start now as we wait for the vaccines to come. And it's very, really important for us to hear from each other and continue to learn. And really, we would appreciate your endorsement of a series of technical regional webinars on COVID-19 vaccination and pandemic preparedness that we will be continuing. And in these sessions, in these upcoming sessions, we will delve more deeply into these issues with the technical staff from your ministries and other relevant authorities. We are here to help and support you, and we know that this is, if you like, something that we're going to be in this journey together to learn and develop our ideas and share our ideas as the situation unfolds. So please be assured that we will be continuing this conversation further with your technical staff. And I think we are supposed to now do the final round of polling to help us design the technical series. So to really understand what are the issues that we want to be able to address in these various sessions upcoming. So let me do the final round. Polling question is, what are the top three topics which your teams would find most useful to include in this regional knowledge sharing and problem solving series on COVID vaccination and preparedness more broadly? So please, once again, go to the website, type in the code, and then type in 3 topics that you would find most useful for us to follow up on in these various follow-up webinars. I think also the next two is regulatory framework and considerations, which Muhammad also pointed out. Oh, it's changing. I maybe you should wait till it's finished. Answers here. Vaccine procurement options is the number one by far, so I think that definitely should be one of the regional technical series. Second is indemnities for adverse events. That's good. You're all thinking about anticipating the things that could happen. And the other one is regional coordination opportunities. I like that one because I think that's really something that is important. Whether it's, we know that the vaccines are being manufactured in regionally in hubs. At regional hubs. And here we actually have India here as one of the regional production hubs, and this would be a very good topic to regional coordination opportunities. And I think there's another one here, maintaining health services, which is a close fourth. So I don't know whether, I think the teams can evaluate this. You may be able to combine some of them. I do think regulatory frameworks considerations is an important topic. So let's see how we can perhaps combine some of these. But this is a really good reflection of what you want to hear more about. We have identified the top 3, and we can structure our regional technical series accordingly. And maybe some of the other topics we can consider and combine in future sessions as well. I do have a final question to our Global Director for Health Systems, Muhammad Fatih. So we're really making you work today. As Global Director, can you commit to working with our South Asian Ministers of Health and their teams to bring in global experience on how South Asia can continue to strengthen regional collaboration in the area of public health and preparedness? Mohammed?
Absolutely, Mary. So the Health, Nutrition and Population team is fully committed and is ready to work with the South Asia regional team and all the countries that are here to support in areas where we feel there are already gaps being sort of expressed even from the podium. So the knowledge agenda that we've laid out and the themes that have emerged are ones that we can. And with good experience from other regions as well. For instance, in the African region, the 16 countries have been involved in regional disease surveillance and epidemic preparedness program. We say all on issues like regulatory harmonization, so the regulatory elements came up in the polling as well as on technical issues as well. So we would be very keen and will fully support the South Asia regional team in terms of a regional community of practice that will facilitate knowledge sharing across the countries in the region.
Very good. Everybody heard you, so I will hold you accountable for your promise. And I really do think listening to each other and learning from each other and in this regional South Asia context is going to be hugely important. A lot of knowledge is developed just from learning from each other and the cross-country experiences on the ground, because we are talking about a situation which is unfolding and we're learning and adapting as we are undertaking this very, very big challenge. I forgot to mention one thing. I think the learning about the importance of using digital technology for registering and tracking and monitoring is, I think, going to be hugely important in all our countries. So let's share our learning on that. I think the Indian minister mentioned what they are doing in India. It would be great to see how other countries can also learn from that. So thank you all, Honorable Ministers of Health, senior government officials and World Bank colleagues who have joined our conversation today. I've certainly learned a lot and really enjoyed learning from all of you. I look forward to our continuing regional dialogue and active collaboration between South Asia and the World Bank on COVID-19 vaccination, COVID-19 response and recovery, and the regional public health security agenda. I'll hand over to Hart for the final thank you to the participants and farewell. Over to you, Hart.
Thank you very much, Mari, and again let me thank you for joining us and being part of this event. This is not a one-off event. We want to continue this dialogue and also use this as a platform to learn from each other, to connect, to create a network of peers across the region. From our side, let me just echo, again, this has been a very rich discussion. It also gives very important guidance to our team, to the colleagues who are actually connected and who are listening to this conversation. And we are fully committed to provide you with support, support in the form of resources, but also support in the form of technical advice, sharing our global experience, what's happening in other regions, and I look forward to a future engagement with everybody. And in the meanwhile, let's make sure that we get the vaccination program rolled out as fast as possible for the people of South Asia. They deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good night.